guys have heard me talk about it several times now that your website is the most important part of your digital marketing strategy. And I often get asked, hey, I have apps, I have email, I have all kinds of other things that I can connect to people with without having to use my website. Why do you keep saying that my website is the most important part of my digital marketing strategy? Just like your website being the most important part of your digital marketing strategy, bringing it home with the metaphor that we can all relate to, our oven and stove is the most important item that we use in our kitchen, right? And so here's how I like to break down that metaphor. So our oven is trustworthy. We can cook things fast. We can cook things slow. We can do a lot of different things in the oven, but we need this piece of equipment for most of our cooking. However, I understand that there's cooking that can be done outside of the oven. And so when we look at digital marketing, we look at these other pieces that connect to our oven or to our website as the different pieces of our digital marketing strategy. So for example, this pot, we would call this social media. This pot, we would call our email marketing. This pot over here would be our search engine optimization. So things like my local Google business listings, things like all my link building, all that over here would be my SEO. And then in this last pot, it really depends on what your business is. But for example, for e-commerce, this would be your Shopify website. This would be making sure that your payments are integrated, things of that nature. And so all of these different things connect back to your main source, your website. And so I like to use that metaphor for people when I'm first introducing them to digital marketing. I like to say, hey, the reason why I harp on the fact that your website is the single most important part of your digital marketing, again, like your stove, you can do a lot of things with it. These other pieces will connect to it, but this is the trusty source right here. So we're going to skip back to the office and we're going to go back into this concept of why your website is the most important piece of your digital marketing strategy. Let's go. Is ownership. As business owners, small business owners, large business owners, our goal is ownership. And your www. Whether it be .com, .net, .org, .us, that domain name and the hosting account with it is the #1 piece of real estate that you own on the internet. No matter what happens to YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, any other piece of media, if those all were to go away, you still own and control your website. So having traffic and having a source that is yours, that you control, is the most important thing that you can do for your digital marketing strategy. Because once you can influence and affect the traffic to your website, now you have the power to influence and affect the traffic to all of your other peripherals. Not only the ability to control the traffic, but complete control over the content of your website is the second reason why your website is the most important part of your digital marketing strategy. As we've seen in recent years, recent months, and even in recent weeks, all of the social media platforms have gone through some form of censorship. YouTube had its ad moratorium. Facebook had a heavy censorship trial through the 2016 elections. And then more recently, Facebook and Instagram are now fact-checking. Twitter's even fact-checking information, and now they're censoring the content. Obviously, for them as a business, they have the right to be able to censor whatever content they want. It's their platform. I know many of us have gotten into the feeling that social media is a free place for people to express ideas freely. However, we've seen that all these platforms have the ability to kind of censor and decide what content they want to allow at what rate. Your website, at the end of the day, your website still allows you to put out whatever kind of content you want to put out, barring any form of censorship. Obviously, there are FCC guidelines about what is legal to put out in a public space. But aside from that, your website allows you to put out the content that you want to without being censored, without worrying about, hey, if Instagram goes down for a day and has a server problem, what am I going to do? So you need to make sure that you have a space for your people to come to that is not just based in social media. So another really important reason as to why your website is single-handedly, the key to your digital marketing is it is a hub. And when I say hub, you need something for all of these different peripherals to connect to. Like we were just talking about in our kitchen example, where we had our different pots on the stove, we need that hub. Your website is a hub for email marketing. So when you go to send out an email marketing campaign, and you have all these great ideas that you're blasting out to people, you need somewhere for them to land, i.e. a landing page on your website, a specific product page on your website. They have to go somewhere. When they take an action from that email, the website should be the place that they go, because that is directing traffic directly to your messaging, your product, or whatever it is that you want to drive leads for your business and or service. So your website has to serve as a hub. And again, speaking about social media, YouTube is a great place for you to put video content, but there is no problem with you also having a video page on your website that has all of your YouTube videos listed on it. Again, the goal being control the traffic to your site and then send them off site to a peripheral. You can integrate Facebook galleries. You can integrate Instagram galleries into your website so that people can see your activity on social media right in the hub of your website. Again, keeping the traffic centralized for you and being able for you to have traffic that you can use analytical data and say, hey, I understand who my real audience is. Instead of having to pull audience numbers from all these different platforms and try to piece them together, you can use audience data from your website to say, hey, this is my core audience. This is who I need to be going after. This is how much time they're spending on my website. And it gives you a more qualitative look at who's interested in your products and or services. So the next reason why your website is the most important part of your digital marketing strategy is a money reason. We're all in business to make money. Monetization is something that any website owner can capitalize on. Google AdSense and various other ad delivery platforms have allowed for website publishers to place ads throughout their website. If you're creating a content hub and delivering traffic to your website on a regular basis, you can monetize that traffic through ads, be it one ad per page, multiple ads per page. But now you have the ability to monetize that traffic because you're creating a traffic hub with your website that says, hey, I've got 5,000 people a month that visit my website. And like we talked about previously, because I have the analytical data, I know who exactly those 5,000 people are. So I know if they're male or female. I know if they're 15 to 35, 35 to 55. I know a lot about this particular group of people. And so I can monetize this traffic through ads. I can also monetize this traffic through product services and offerings. I can look at this analytical data and say, hey, what do I have that I can offer my biggest group of visitors? What products or services do I need to tweak so that I understand my visitors and my potential customers? And what is stopping people from turning into actual customers? What about my website? What about my products or services? Where are people falling off? All this information is available once you have the proper analytical data on your website. You can find out which pages people are falling off. You can find out what content people like the most. And then that way you can build a strategy that adheres to those people that are most important to you and your business. So the last concept I want to talk about that brings us all home is longevity. Your website, the length of time that it exists and the amount of traffic that it gets over time helps boost its presence in search engine ranking. So things like Yahoo and Google search, they take that factor of how long you've had a website into consideration, how long your website's been up and the amount of traffic that it gets. So if you build a business, but you build it only on, social media or YouTube, but never build a website for it, and then you backtrack later to build a website, you've lost all of that time that you could have gained to add to your website's history. The other factor when we talk about longevity, and I've mentioned this before, is that we've seen it throughout time. I'm one of those people that's been around since America Online was around, and the chat rooms that started in there were the first social medias, if you will. Well, that has gone away. Obviously, it was replaced by AOL Instant Messenger, which was the lighter version. Then that was replaced by MySpace. Eventually, several other platforms popped up, and then we got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, and some of the other ones that are more popular today. But as we look at the history of all of these social medias, at one point, they all had a peak, they all had a large following, and then they all fell off at some point. And even again, as we talked about, even if the ones that are here are a little bit more stable than their predecessors, the social media always has the opportunity to decide up in one day, hey, we don't want to be in this business anymore. And if that's ever the case, your website needs to be the place that people know that they can rely on you to continue to get quality information. So while having your peripherals, while having your pots on the stove, as we spoke about earlier, your email marketing, your social media marketing, your SEO, all of these other things are important to the meal of marketing. As we're talking about, the most stable piece we can always have is our website. Okay, so let's review. What did we go over today? We talked about your website being the most important part of your digital marketing strategy. So why is that? Number one is ownership. Your .com, .org, your domain name, and the hosting account that goes with it is the single most important piece of real estate you own on the internet. Second reason is content control. As we talked about with a lot of social media companies now censoring content and various other platforms beginning to choose what content is allowed to be pushed out, you have the ability to control what content goes on your website. The third thing we talked about was monetization. There are a number of opportunities for you to be able to monetize your website in new ways and be able to gain income from the traffic that goes to your website. And so it is important to understand these factors and understand that both the data that comes with the traffic is useful to understand your audience, but also useful to be able to monetize that audience in various ways. And then last but not least, we talked about longevity. Your website, having a good, strong, stable website prevents you from any sort of shutdown from, be it social medias, be it other types of platforms like a YouTube. If ever those were to go away, your website is still there, still sturdy, still stable. So with these key factors, I want you to make sure that you understand why your website is the single most important part of your digital marketing strategy. So now, if you have any questions, feel free. Send me a message, send me an email, DM me. Hey, call me, show up at my house. I don't know. But, anytime that you guys want to talk about any of the concepts that we talk about here on the Marketing Cookbook, feel free to reach out to me, Chef Maz, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. So this has been a great episode. I'm glad you guys tuned in. I look forward to sharing the next episode with you guys. And until then, I think we're going to go in the kitchen and whip something up. Not sure what, but... So, just like we talked about your website being the most important part of your digital marketing strategy, what is the most important meal of the day? Breakfast. And so for today, we're cooking up a special breakfast. We're going to do chicken strips and waffles. So I've already got my breaded chicken strips right here, getting ready to go into the fryer. I got my waffle batter that I'm going to add some egg and oil to. I got my waffle maker right here, deep fryer. It's going down. Chicken and waffles, the most important meal of the day. Yee! So, just like we got into your website and broke down why it's the most important part of your digital marketing strategy, we went ahead and we busted down breakfast. So this is the most important meal of the day. I'm going to eat. I hope you guys cooked along and you got you something to eat because this looks bomb. We got the Belgian waffle, the fried chicken strips, a little blueberry pineapple garnish with some hot maple syrup on the top. It's the thing to do. Chef Maz, the Marketing Cookbook. You know we coming back at you with more right after this. Yee!